Everybody, we're watching Witness My Minis. I'm Peter, this is Wiley, and today we will be watching a stream, one of my first live things ever, really. It was a part of the SquidCon 2024. I was asked to kind of hold a class about how I base and create a scene for my miniatures. I couldn't, however, hold it within the time limit, so 45 minutes was the stream time, and I ended up cutting it short. But in the end of this video, I have added the 50 minutes that I had planned so that you can watch the whole hour. Since it's live, it's totally unedited, and sorry in advance for my stuttering and my ums and umps. So yeah, without further ado, here we go.
Hello everybody, I'm Peter. I'm from WitnessMyMinis. If you don't know me, I've been painting miniatures now since 2020. So you could say that I'm kind of a COVID baby, like so many others in the hobby. My journey started when I painted a unit for a friend for his birthday, and of course I went online searching for inspiration, and I found Squidmar, of course, and his early videos about basing, and that's why I'm here today. I was asked to talk about basing with you guys, and the thing with basing for me is I've always been thinking of it more of like creating a scene more than pure basing of a miniature, since a lot of the time our miniatures are standing in a cabinet and not being played with. It's that way for me, at least. I often tend to go quite overboard with many of my wargaming minis, and of course then we're not talking about when we're like painting for display or making dioramas. But so what I thought we would be doing today was just to start out with going through some of the materials that I use when I base, and then we will be taking a look at some of the bases and the miniatures that I've made in the last 3-4 years. And of course, if there is any questions, if I'm just rambling on too fast, be sure to write in the chat, and I'll be slowing down or answering anything that you are wondering about. So yeah, without further ado, let's start with some of the materials. Okay, so first off, I believe many of the things that I am about to show you guys, I think a lot of it you have seen before, but there is hopefully some things in there that you haven't thought about. And if or even if there is a lot of things that you have seen and used before, maybe there is other ways of thinking about it. So yeah, let's just jump in and we'll see. So here is the first thing in order. So basically what I've done here is that I've been outside. You can see all the different wood material, like bark, leaves, stones that I got here. Most of the small roots that I've gathered have been used up, so I have to take another trip outside soon. But yeah, basically I've just gathered these in the forest, and I baked them in the oven, so to get rid of any bugs. But these are perfect for breaking apart, making small or big, like terrain bits, or yeah, you'll see later. I'll show you some varieties of how I've used this in the past. And of course, it wouldn't be connected to Squidmar if we didn't mention the cork bark. This was one of the first things that I went out really looking for in stores. I bought it at IKEA, of course, and it's just amazing for those like really ground texture with all these small textures and all these small roots, and it really brings a lot of interest to a ground texture. Also, when you glue this down with super glue, it becomes rock hard. It's almost creates like a cement, but it's really dusty. So yeah, you see here how I keep it, and yeah, that's the first box for yeah, this time. Let's move on and see what else we have here. Then of course there is tufts. There is a lot of different tufts out there. First, I got some from Army Painter. There are a lot of different like undergrowth and bigger tufts, but I later found gamer grass, and I really enjoy their the feel of them, how they the difference in scales. If you take a look at this, for example, there's these are like tiny moss, and they're really like lifelike. And the thing about when we use any kind of bits or terrain things on our miniatures is that we sometimes forget about the scale. Like paint, like if I were to put a tuft in the like let's say this size, this is a huge like thing for a miniature in Warhammer scale, and this is more like something that you could find on the floor or on a like a tree stump or something. Lately I only got one pack, but these are cut out in kind of a foil, so you can just you can take them apart, and you can like fold the leaves and make them stand the way you want to. But there are cutouts in these, so yeah, you see here that I've used 2 so far. Kind of cool. Moving forward, we have to talk about some sculpting material. So, of course, you have your regular green stuff. I suppose everybody has heard about these, and I know what Emil thinks about them, that they are often hardened in the middle, because the 2 components, yeah, as you see, they touch each other, and yeah, it isn't always that great, but it's very often kind of cheap, and depending on what you're doing with it, I think it works kind of okay, at least. I tend to have a small like jar with some like Vaseline, just to dip my tools in when I work with it, because it is very sticky. So make sure of that, so that you don't have a very bad time with just picking it back up, and yeah, it's not very fun working with it without any kind of lubricant. Then there is, of course, Milliput. Basically the same thing, but it's not as gooey, it isn't as sticky when you mixed it. And the thing about Milliput is, of course, you get a lot of it for a great value, I would say, but most of all, it's when it dries, you can work with it in different kind of stages. because first, when you've mixed it, it's very soft, and you can very easily like smoothen it out with water. And then after maybe an hour, you'll have a semi-hard, and then you can cut in it with a knife. And then of course, like making like if you want to make steps out of it, or if you want to add some texture maybe with a rock or something, you just have to wait for it to harden a little bit. And then when it's totally dry, you really can sand it down, and you will have a perfectly smooth surface. It is really important to make it as air sealed. I keep mine in 2 zip bags inside, because I've had it like dry out on me before, and it's not a pleasant experience. So this is how I do it. I just take equal part and mix it afterwards. But again, we'll come back to like looking at some bases that I've made when I use this. And then we have acrylic resin. I don't know if this is something that most people use. I've dabbled with it. I've done some stuff with it, and it works great together with molds. So what you can do is you can buy like these guys here, and you mix it as it says right here on the lid, 3 resin to 1 water, and then you just pour it in here, and then it dries, and you have like bricks. You can also use something called blue stuff, if you haven't seen that before. This is basically just a silicone filling thing that you heat up in water like a regular pan, and then you put something in it when it's still soft, and you make a mold. So if you take a look here, what I've done here, I've done some kind of machine looking thing, like a motor of some sort, and then it's just you can just pour these in here, and you'll have bits. It's great for people like me that doesn't own a 3D printer. More about that later, but it's just one of those things that can come in handy. It's just a different tool, like so many other things in our hobby. So what more? Then we have something called Sculpey. So this is a oven baked clay. I use it for making, like preparing and making slates with indentations. So I guess you might have heard about these guys. These are roller pins. So what I do is I take this Sculpey and I flatten it out. I then take a roller pin, and here we have like a runic roller pin with, I don't know if you guys see it here, but it's all of these like runic markings. And then I cover this in like an oil, and I roll it over the Sculpey, and then I put it in the oven. I bake it for like 15 minutes, and when that's done, I have something looking like this. So here we go. Let's see here if you can get it. So these are slates, as you see here. This is the runic one that I've just mentioned. I can just break this stuff off and put it on the on the base, either as kind of a floor, or if I want like a nasty looking like wall or something with indentations or markings on it. Of course, these ruler pins comes in all kinds of different shapes and things, and again, for somebody that doesn't have a 3D printer, things like this really makes a difference. Just like having this big size, I can base a lot of miniatures using this. Let's look at the first mini just to show you guys what I'm talking about here. I got a Skaven army going with a friend of mine, and as some of you might know, there is we're playing Warhammer Fantasy Battles, not Old World yet, but the 8th edition, and there is a lot of rats needed to run a list for like 2,400 points. So what I did was I started making filler units. So this guy here would be like 10 rats in size. So yeah, you see what I did here. I just used Sculpey. I put one rat on there, and then I just used some terrain to make it look cool. Of course, it could be kind of quirky, the wall walking with the unit, but yeah, it's just the like the yeah, you just have to make that work in your mind. But for me, at least, it's just most important that it looks kind of cool. Okay, let's move on. There's a lot of things to go through. Then, of course, we have bits. So let's see here if we have some kind of engagement in the chat. If I throw something out here, can you guys guess what set this is from? See if I hold it up here, maybe you like a roller, like a blade spinning, some kind of thing. Do we have any guesses? No. We have Blood Bowl or Slanesh. Let's move forward. I'm going to show you guys this. Skaven Lawnmower, that's a good one. No. Yeah. I'm just going to do it like this, okay? I think you guys might see what it is now. It's one of those. I'm actually not quite sure what it's called, but it's like a plague thing for Nurgle. One of those flying things. I'll show you a picture later for one that I built. But the thing is with some of these kits is that there are so many bits left when you're done, and if you're like me and do the odd commission, always make sure that you ask if you can keep the bits, because these bits are great for, like, this could be anything. This is just mechanical. Yeah, what is it? It could be anything, especially when you think about cutting apart and gluing other things to it, or like using these hoses and cords. It's great. And talking about bits, let's move forward to this one. This bit I got from a Tau kit, and it's supposed to be on like a big robot, like his weapon or something. But look at this. I mean, I could put this on a base. It fits kind of perfectly, I would say, and then I could do all kinds of things all around that. Maybe some resin here to like put it in the water. I don't know. You know, there is a lot of things like when you have bits, the most important thing is to not think of it what it's supposed to be. Think of it instead of like how it could be used for something else, I would say. Of course you can use this for like a gun, but you could also cut it up and use it for pipes. There's a lot of things in here that the eye can be tricked. And again, if you don't have a 3D printer, these guys really come in handy. talking about 3D printing, of course, there is something to say about 3D printing. I got a bag from Björn at the Beer and the Brush. He printed me some bases, and of course these are also really good to have, but I would say mostly I wouldn't use them as is. I would do something else too, but they are a great start off point for a base, for sure. Okay, let's move on and see what else we have in our little bag here. Yeah, talking about like water effects and UV resin, like we did before. For UV resin, I used the super expensive Green Stuff World. Of course, I've seen now that you can buy like UV resin for dirt cheap on like Wish or Temu or something like that. The thing with UV resin, of course, is that it's super good, that you can just use a torch and make it and harden it straight away, whilst other resins and water effects take time to harden or to cure the way you want them to. If I do use other, as of right now, I often go to still water from Vallejo. It's a self-leveling water texture, so you just pour it on the base, and just make sure that you have edges, and then you will have a clean water level. It won't sink in and stuff like that. So it's self-leveling. That's what it's called, I've been told. On top of that, I have to just mention water texture as well. This dries transparent. You can do a lot of things with it. It's great for covering up and making waves and foam and stuff. I'll show more about this later. Okay. What else? We have Uhu glue. In Sweden, it's called Karlsson's Klister, and we have a donkey on it. This is it's a glue that, when it's dried, it makes kind of strands. You can do a lot of cool things with it. I'll show more about that later as well. So basically, what we're doing right now is we're going through all the different materials, and then I'll show like practical applications about it, and make sure to like ask me if, hey, what did you use there, and I'll spill the beans. So what more? Oh yeah, here we go. This is also great to have lying around. You can just print out all like small posters, or if it were for fantasy, it could be like wanted posters or signs and stuff. These I just cut out and I just glue them to the base. We'll see more practical applications for that as later as well. But basically, just Google it, shrink it to the size you want it, and then cut it out, put it on the base. Very simple. Yeah, last but not least, of course, there we have to talk about pigments. So these are the pigments that I have. There is a lot of different ones, earthy tones, and then I have some fluorescent ones as well. Pigments, as I'm sure some of you know, because Squidmar loves to talk about them as well. They have the perfect like texture to mimic sand or ground material at the right scale for our miniatures. Like I mentioned before, if you use regular sand, the scale will be kind of off. I forgot to mention, this sand is what I used to start out with. So it's just basic like, yeah, sand from the beach, very fine grit. And then on top of that, when everything is set and dried, and even after I painted it, I'll go in with the pigments. And depending on how much pigment you want to use, you can use a let's see where I have it here. A pigment binder, and yeah, it's exactly what it sounds like. You will have a slightly wetter look at first, and then depending on how much binder you will use, it will dry, of course. But usually when painting for myself, I wouldn't use too much of this. I would basically just put it on there and not go overboard. A little of pigment can go a long way. Yeah, and one thing more that I forgot to mention, of course, is the basic cork. Nothing too special about it, but making sure that you have it like in regular like cork. Yeah, this is like the thing that you put your hot plate on, and then you can get these smaller, like thinner ones. I think this actually comes in a roll. As you see, it's kind of it's formed like that. But with this, you can build elevation, and without it costing too much and making like it too hard. It's really easy to build it up and get the formations that you want, and then you can cover it in some kind of like ground texture, either like this, or just you can use like water effect that I showed you before, and you can just put sand in there, or there isn't any like you have to do it like this, but some kind of elevation, different like difference is good on the bases, and then to get as much as different textures in there to make it interesting. If you want to be lazy, you can also get like pre-mixed basing material like this. This is from this is base ready patchy planes from Scenic Games, like Luke, what's his name? Yeah, I think if you don't know, he just quit his YouTube. I think you know who I'm talking about. Great stuff, and very, very easy. If you just want to make a like a whole army, you could just put some glue and just dip the base. Okay, then it's time to go forward and look at some practical applications on how I use this stuff. So for that, we'll move to the tablet. Okay, let's see here. You guys have to tag along here while I'll switch some stuff around. This should have been prepared. There we go. Okay, so yeah, I've already mentioned this before, but as you see here, when looking at a regular forest floor, there's a lot of different texture in there, and all these like branches, some of the leaves maybe, we usually see when people are making bases, but there is a lot of like very, very, very small grit like texture in there that we usually miss. So, and that's where like pigment and those stuff comes in. So have this in mind when making bases, that you have to really go from the tiniest speckle and then upwards to like bigger things, and to build elevation and build interest, because the base has one job, and it's to elevate the mini first and foremost. So you can build a story, but it has to like draw your eye in, that you keep on looking, but it should always like focuses on the mini in question. So yeah, let's just move forward and we'll see here. So this is a flower knight that I painted for a client. It's from KDM, Kingdom Death Monsters, and I love painting KDM. This is just me, as you see here, trying to figure out some kind of composition. With this guy, there came this music instrument, and instead of just like you see here, it should be standing like right straight up on the bass. I thought that would kind of uninteresting, so I tried to figure out something else. So yeah, I'm just playing with composition and moving forward. You see here, I found the right angle that I wanted to, and then I just started building up with incorporating this instrument into the scene. So what you see here, it's green stuff, and I've just been like rolling small vines that I've put out like around the instrument, and then grabbing onto the rocks, the elevation that the miniature stands on. And also all around it you see those small speckles that I've mentioned before. In this case it's not pigment, but it is very fine grit from texture from cork bark, and also some of the pre-mixed base ready material that I've showed you before. Let's see here. Here it's very easy to see what I'm talking about on the side here, with all those small details and small like strands and stuff. I also asked Surreal. He helped me with like, should I put a butterfly on his hand? So this is me trying out and sending him the picture. Do you think this character should be holding a butterfly? And I got a very ecstatic yes on that question. And oh, sorry. Let's see here. And this is the finished result. So I see now that it isn't exactly the finished result. I did also put some flowers on there, matching his magenta look, down underneath where the music instrument is. But basically, this is how it turned out, and we will be coming back to this a little bit later, just to talk about how I thought about when I colored it as well. So moving forward, there's this. This is an artwork, an existing artwork, and I really love Roman Lapotte and how he tackles this subject about basing and environment and creating a scene and atmosphere. So he made these frames, and I thought, of course, that I wanted to do them as well. So I've done two now for myself, and this is one of them. So I got this artwork set up, and I thought, make it easy for myself and try to replicate this. So with that, I started out. I got a frame. I started out with, as you see here, with cork, and I got some of the feel with like making tentacles and mixing the cork with a lot of like organic shapes. Like you see here in the corner, the right corner, you see a lot of like round bubbles and stuff. I also cut a plague bearer in half and glued him to the backdrop to make it look like to be able to get some kind of depth. Like I actually painted his like right arm on the backdrop later, so that he is a part of the scene. So, and then I put on the mini in question, and he had to be reposed because he didn't match right out of the box the artwork. So basically it's only the arm holding the hammer the hammer had to be shortened, the angle that he's holding it had to be adjusted, and also the legs on how he puts his right knee forwards, and the other one is kind of like he's taking a step forwards. The normal miniature is more or less standing still. And then there were these like faces on his shield here that you see. Those were on the artwork. I had to try to sculpt them as well, because otherwise they were just like round things there, no details on the miniature itself. After that, I primed it, and this is, as many of you know, I guess, where we can see that our like idea really works out. When making a frame like this, a scene, it's very important to light it in the same way. So I just pinned the mini down, and then I made sure to spray the whole scene from the same angle, so that everything was set in the same ambient lighting. And then I could remove him, paint the backdrop, paint the scene, and then place him back in. And here is the finished result. Really proud with it. So, yeah. Might be coming back later as well as to the how I thought about painting this with colors as well. We just go through the building process right now, and we can come back and look at some of the color choices and how and why. So I don't have too many pictures about this, but this was a really ambitious project of mine. As you might see, I broke apart an old Game Boy, and I built a little diorama that I lit. As you see here, it's there's a little light that will go on top of this, and there is like grass strands, and yeah, there is a lot of things going on inside of here. And the knobs on the side of the Game Boy can be like when you adjust contrast and volume on the Game Boy, the knobs I glued plastic wire to some butterflies, so that you can actually move the knobs and move the butterflies like flapping in front of the screen. And then like this is just inside when you're looking into the window. There you have the butterflies as well, like flapping. And then I put my mascot right center and lit him. Yeah, and there you go. It was a very fun project, but yeah, it took some time and was frustrating time from time also. Here is a very basic base, but it had a very specific function in mind. So as you see here, maybe you at the back here is the mini that will be going on top. This is a Slender Man from KDM, and he has so tiny feet, and you can't pin him, and he will for sure fall off the base if you don't do anything about it. So what I did was that I built up this tree, this branch, and to be able to get more connection points when gluing him down. The base is basically just a lot of cork bark and a root. So nothing in particular, but here you have him glued down, zenithal, and he really like when I always use super glue, because you just have to make a choice and super glue it down, and often, very often, I use like an activator as well. You just make it hard really fast, and yeah, there's no going back. And here is the finished result. So the thing about this one, we can also I can say right away, this is the Uhu glue that I mentioned before, on the back here, the strands going to the trees. And the thought about this was, of course, that when you watched him from the front, he would like look rather bland, but when you turned him, he would be gross and grotesque and bloody. That was the thought, at least. Moving forward, this is just one of those times when a 3D base came in handy, but as I said before, it wasn't. I used it in tandem with a lot of different parts. So what I did here was that I filed it down. So I had one part like I would say a rocky ground with, you could call it like dust or something blowing. I don't know. And then the other part was cork, and I thought that I would do like a road on the cork, like a roadside, so that you have like two parts. And I really wanted to do something different, so I made a stoplight. And this is just, if we dissect it for a moment, this is a 25mm base in the back, the black rim that you see that I cut in half. It's the gray bit is something that I got from another kit. The blue things you see are like beads from like a child beads set that you can build necklaces out of, that I caught in like slanted poses. And then I put like silica beads that you get in when you order like textiles, like bags and stuff. You get like small packages of things that will soak up the moisture. I put them inside of the beads to look like lights. And then you have one of those cords or wires that we saw from the Nurgle kit like before. Moving forward, I put on some texture paste, and I put the base thing that comes with the miniature on top, and this was the finished base. So yeah, the only thing that one might ask that defies logic is, why is the light actually lit? But yeah, that was just it just had to be done because OSL is kind of cool. It's just a finished mini with the orc on top, and yeah, let's move forward. Here we have another base with a lot of cork. I made a fence. The mini itself came with a rather large piece of terrain that I just tried to incorporate. The texture you see directly on the base is just beach sand mixed with a lot of super glue. I just let it run. I just let it run. I mean, so you really get like it dries while it's running, and then you kind of get this effect. On top of this, I put a lot of pigments, and there you have the poster that I mentioned before. I really thought it was fitting because the pose of the mini itself, he is holding kind of like a rebel stance, trying to tell that story again. It's just one more picture. And then there is those very large miniatures. When you have a large miniature, you should always take advantage and make some kind of epic base for it. Here is my stone horn. See here, okay, yeah, I'm in the way, I see, but yeah, you get the point. There's a lot of it's a big tree, and I got a stone in there, and I got a pillar tilting, and yeah, it's a lot of dynamics. And the elevation here is actually built with like regular metal foil, so I just crunkled it up and put it on the base, and then I just put like a thin level like layer of milliput on top just to make it set. And the stone, even if it looks real, is actually cast out of acrylic resin from the blue stuff that I showed you guys before. So I just made a mold and I cast that, so it doesn't like, it's very light. It's not at all that heavy. And then moving forward, we have a very personal piece that I made during Butterfly for HANA, if you guys have heard about that. I ran a thing called Butterfly for HANA for my late sister some years ago, and this was my personal piece connected to that. So I made a brick wall. Again, these are individual bricks cast in resin that I laid down one at a time, and then I just when I glue them down, I had all these kind of spaces in between. I just took the same kind of resin and then just poured it on top, making it settle in those recesses. And this is the result of after Zenithal and some painting, and this is the finished result when I painted it up and put the miniature on and some tufts and stuff. If you haven't seen it before, I also made some waves. So this was kind of this was a cool thing to try out. It's a 2-component glue that again. I heard something, but okay, I got a minute or so left. Yeah, okay, it's we'll try to haste it up then. Yeah, so basically this, I just pour this component on top of these cotton wads, and I just pulled it out, and then we had this waves that I made for Squid Miniature. And I did the same thing with pure pigments, like orange pigments, and I made a base for Be'lakor as well with lava waves. So yeah, I think I had thought maybe I can just show you guys very quickly here. I just want to mention, when you have the base set, it's very important that you also paint it with the correct kind of colors. So atmospheric painting it's the shit. It's the bee's knees. So this was a really fun part, like painting I did. The basing itself isn't that much that I've did, but what you see here is, of course, it's lit in atmospheric painting, and you have the blue contrasting the red, and one side, every highlight, every shadow, everything is lit with the same kind of colors depending on what side you turn the miniature on. So every miniature that I've just shown you, you have to connect the miniature to the base with your colors, as well as if you have pigments, try to use your things to make them live in the same world. This is the other side of the same miniature. So yeah, I didn't have the time to go through everything that I had planned to show you guys. Sorry for rambling on too much. But that is basically it for me then, I guess. So if you have any questions, throw them at me now, or yeah, just get back to me on the Discord. You know where to find me, I guess. This has been Peter from WitnessMyMinis, and now it's time for some drunkpla. I believe you don't have to drink, and you don't have to paint any gunpla to join. Everybody is welcome. Come and hang out and have a good time with us. Okay, Peter out. Hi, it's Peter here again. Since the class got cut short, I thought I'll just go back over the things that I wanted to end on with the class for creating a scene over at SquidCon 2024. So yeah, let's just jump in where we ended up. So we will be looking at the iPad once again here, and the pictures for some of the color choices that I've made on the basing material. So if we go back to the let's see here, let's go back to this one again, the Flower Knight. So as I said in the end of the first part, was that you should be sure to make sure to incorporate your color choices of your base into your miniature. First of all, as you see here, the magenta and the green have a really good complementary entanglement going on. And so how should we incorporate the green in the miniature? First of all, you see the vines. I, of course, had the idea for the vines on the lower parts because of in the miniature. Let's see, pick it right here and I'll show you guys. So on the miniature itself, we have this part here. Let's see where. Oh, I have a bad. There we go. So on the miniature here, we have some vines going from the back onto the sword. So that's why I had the first thought of doing that on the to incorporate the instrument onto the base itself. And then if we like take our color picker here, we can actually move, and we can see in the reflections of the gold we'll find green tones, and that's because the NMM of the lower part of the mini should be reflecting the green of the base. So that's one way of trying to incorporate the mini and the base, both with sculpting and also with colors. So let's take a look at another picture. I promise you, this was the kit that I was talking about before. I promise I show you guys. So here is this is the drone that the bits was left over from. Here is another example, like the one that I did with Slenderman. This guy is actually hovering above the base because I have this connection point here. Let's just I have to select that layer. We'll just have a red color again so we can show you guys here. So this is the connection point, and the other thing is just he's just flowing above the base. Just yeah, just one way of doing it. Let's see where to go next. This is also like a very simple way to just show you guys what I mean. Same thing with the magenta and the green base that we had on the Flower Knight. I made sure that the skin was going in the blue direction, so that I had a contrasting with the orange of the flames. But with any OSL is a great way to incorporate and put everything in the same scene, because of if you have the same lighting, it really tricks the eyes of like putting all of it together and making it like, okay, these things are connected. So we can see this in several parts on this mini. Just change pencils. Yeah, there we go. So we can see it on the wings. We have the orange OSL coming from the flames. We can also see it on the from the sword. We have purple OSL coming here, and we have purple OSL going on the base over here. So that's just very basic things, and also the same with the OSL here. So we have like 3 different OSLs going on, connecting the base and the mini with one another. Yes, so let's see here if we can look at something else. This one was rather fun. This is a this is a backdrop and a plinth that I made, and like I mentioned before, I made a scene, and this scene was to make the miniature really pop. I wanted it to be very like dulled down, very muted, but at the same time, as you see here, and as you've seen maybe on my other pieces, I like working with kind of saturated colors. But if we just take that away for a second, just yeah, this is supposed to be water if that isn't clear, and ripples. And we'll take forwards. So this is the mini that is sitting in on this little scene, and the light in between the trees is going this way, and she's lit in that way, and this bluish light is, as you see here on her bone crown, it's in all those bone colors, and it's on the stone, and it's in all of the highlights as well on her skin, even if it's not as prevalent because the skin itself is kind of magenta and skin looking, of course, but bone being so white, it absorbs the light, and you have these very bluish highlights connecting her with the light and the atmosphere in the scene. And I made the choice of making everything behind her this color because I know I wanted to paint the skull red and contrast that, so your eye should be drawn to the miniature. So that goes back to what I said in the beginning. The scene and everything is just a part to put everything together and make it work as a whole, but to pull your focus to the miniature. Okay, I also had planned to just show you guys my idol and some of his works. Not the yeah, here he is, Roman Lapat, everybody. Awesome at everything he does. Humble, awesome, nice, very a wonderful guy, but also an amazing miniature printer and an advocate for making bases and atmospheric scenes. He makes stories, really. So this is one of my favorite pieces of his. It's a toy car. He put a lot of like texture on it. He made a story. I love how he incorporates different kind of angles instead of just making everything like standing flat. He isn't beholden to any kind of plinth or anything. He really thinks outside of the box. This was just one of many pieces of his that maybe not the first one that everybody's thinking about, but this is just, I just thought it was a perfect like study to show you guys what he's doing, like doing here with in means of composition. Every line here go towards the mini. It points in one way, showing you where you should look. And this one is just amazing. Here you see how he works with different kind of materials and how he is a master of going in with small and big and just a clutter of things to look at, and it might not look as much like a big thing right now, but look at the finished piece. It's just insane. Okay then, yeah, let's go back to the camera. The last thing I wanted to show you guys was some in-person miniatures. So just to show you what I meant with casting, this guy looks like he's standing on a stone, right? I've incorporated it with some pigments here, but it isn't a stone. This is blue stuff cast acrylic resin, so it's very lightweight, but it works and it looks kind of cool. One of the first things that I did was paint a Ogre Kingdom's army It's the only army that I've painted for myself, and it's wonderful to paint Orga Kingdoms because they have big bases and you can do a lot with them. So, and one of the first units that I really put that into was Mournfang units. I'm not sure if everybody knows what Mournfangs is, but it's these guys. So they are running very like riding big hogs. And as you see here, cork painted like bluish. I put some tufts here. A lot of pigments going on. A broken down wheel. This was one of my like first basing attempts. Not at all like perfect, but I mean it does the job in the army perspective. What I do like about this one in particular though is that they come in units of 3, and I did them like this, so they actually fit together. And because you have these big bases, and I could do like one big unit, like one base holding 2 units, and depending on how the game shapes out, I can just exchange and yeah, if I have 1 unit left or if I have 2 units left, this is what it's going to be about. And then I can really make this fit together like one single unit. And because I don't have to put them all on each other, like one base each, I actually could put them like rather dynamic. So you have like one of them going in front of the other, like different elevations. Really fun stuff to base, and yeah, I'm really pleased with the result, and they look great on the gaming table. So I think that was it, guys. There was I'm sorry that I wasn't able to show you guys everything live, but hopefully you found the stream here and you get what I and you get the idea of the class. And as I said before, you know where I am, and this video will be on YouTube, so you can just ask your questions down below, or just come and hang out in my Discord, or yeah, just holler. I'll be around. So if you have any questions, yeah, you know where to find me. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Bye bye.